Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to another Manuscript Monday. Although it's also a tea with JD, because I needed some tea, so I'm gonna get some tea whilst we discuss the Manuscript Monday. Before I get into this, because this is different, Manuscript Monday is also to have accountability with your current works in progress. So, my progress so far with Natural Intelligence, the sci-fi novella that I'm working on, is that I transcribed everything I'd written and I broke the 10,000 word mark, or 11,000. Not sure, I have to check again. That's about a bit less than halfway there. So I'm making decent progress. I could be making more progress, but progress is progress. Now, for this book. This is actually one of the coolest and most marvelous gifts I've ever gotten. My wife actually ordered this from somewhere where they made this custom made with one of my favorite images and my signature and my name. And I actually got the idea for this in the most peculiar way. We'll call this The Boy Who Dreams About Flying, even though that's not the name of the book. It's funny because actually a couple of people like that title. The title of the book is actually after one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite bands. And I am verifying that there's no legal issues doing that. I think there isn't, but best be safe. If not, then The Boy Who Dreams About Flying. This book came about, the idea. I got the gift, I really liked the gift. I wanted to do something special. And I was stuck. Couldn't get an idea for that project. I got a bunch of other ideas, but something that I said, oh, it's worthy of that. And then I went to Epcot, got on the Soarin' ride, and during the ride I got the idea. I came out of that ride crying a bit because it had been so hard to find the right idea. So it is The Boy Who Dreams About Flying. Although I hate spoilers, I will tell you a bit about the story. The boy is called John Rivers. His father is George, his mother is Jane. But that's not what's important. What's important is that he goes outside to play. There's a beautiful day. He actually moved into a new house that's next to like a cliffside. And when he looks down from the cliff, he sees that there's actually a cove. But within that cove, there's actually a house. That's the main things where the plot takes place. So how did I go about writing this manuscript? Here's the method. Basically, everything that happens in this book is contained in these index cards. Or at least the Cliff Notes version. But to give you an example, there's a section of chapter summaries, there's a section of characters, there's a section of chapters, and there's a section of localizations. So basically, I would take, let's see, this. I'm not going to say the names or anything, but I will tell you how it worked. So, I have a chapter card. In this chapter card, I have a summary of what happens in the chapter. I have lines of dialogue that might be relevant to the plot. And I establish who is in that chapter. So, I have the chapter. I have the where it takes place. So I have two cards already. and the people who appear in the chapter are actually these. So I have 4 chapter cards. So while I was writing, I would have all these cards laid out in front of me with descriptions of the characters, their personality, and whatnot. To give you an example, let me actually look for this. I'm going to give you an example of a chapter card, character card, and let me see a localization. Location. Localización is Spanish. But I'm trying to do something interesting here. These are all shuffled because I did finish this manuscript, and whilst I was checking back on it, I had to make sure of, and I will still have to make sure of different details here. Sorry for this, but this is part of the process. I actually can't find it, and I'm not gonna re-record. I'm not gonna keep shuffling, but I'm gonna get you the example. I'm actually gonna give you an example of a card that I didn't use. So this is actually a non-spoiler because it does not occur. An example of a chapter card. Chapter 1, The Move, The Road, and the House. Establishes John, George, and Jean. Why they're moving to Oregon. John lost job. Trip to get to house. Sees hill at distance. Arrive at the house. John explores the house. Doesn't find anything. Looks out the window. Sees the hill with the tree at a distance. A character card. Some are really elaborate, but I purposely chose the one from John because it's very, 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 very simple. Son of Jean and George Rivers, recently moved to Oregon, dreams of flying. That's all I needed in terms of John. And a location card. I actually didn't use the game room because thinking about it, I thought it was overkill. And I decided to cut this out, and it was actually fun, but I didn't think it went well with the flow of the book, so I cut it out. Game room, a room that stretches as far as the eye can see. John needs to take off his shoes and put game shoes on to be able to walk in the room. Has to put kids' gloves on. That's the purpose of that. So that's how I would organize it. I would lay out all my character cards, my chapter card, and my chapter summary card, and the location card. So I had a perfect guide to get me through the story. This is the first time that I tried this. It's not going to be the last. There's actually another book I'm going to be writing, and it's in this format as well. It's not the way I usually go, but it was fun, and it was interesting to see how I would process the information and how it would help me map things out. But even so, you saw a card that I didn't use. There is method to the madness, but you can't be tied down to it. You have to obey the rules, but if you see something that's not working, you have to have the liberty to let go. So if you want to try this out, jot down all the characters that appear, primary and secondary, no matter who it is, and give them a personality description, physically. Their voice, what it sounds like, what do they smell like? Personality traits, quirks, tics, anything that can give them more personality. Second off, chapter summaries. That helped me establish the arc, and I didn't toss the other card, not because I knew I was going to do a video, but because I said there's an idea there for something else, maybe not this, and I'm going to have fun with it. So that's also to show that ideas that you don't use in one word can actually be the seed for others. Keep them to the side when you realize and you can recognize it's a good idea. So character, chapter, and location. Location is very important because I actually had to map out the house to understand where I would go and what would be particular to each spot. There are certain aspects here that might remind of Howl's Moving Castle. and small nods to other things. This took me a long time to write because I wrote and then I stopped and I wrote and then I stopped and then I wrote and then I stopped. And last year I was like, I'm gonna finish this. And although I did start in November, I finished in December, so that was part of Nano Estrada. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, comments, or you need tips on anything, by all means, the comment section is there for something. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Google+, or you can go to my blog. That's jdestrada.writer.blogspot.com. You can go to Facebook. I'm pretty much everywhere except Tumblr and Snapchat. Snapchat, I just don't get. Tumblr, I just don't get. And if I don't get something and I'm busy doing other stuff, I'm gonna do the other stuff because it's all about having fun. So if you have questions, comments, or if you're stuck with something about your story and you think I could help, by all means, drop me a line. I'm always happy to help other writers. I do have some emails pending and some favors that I owe in terms of reading people's material. I'm doing my best to keep up, but I'm not gonna rush something just to say that I did it. If I take my sweet time, it's because the people that wrote me are gonna get my A+ effort. So there's that. This one's completed. This one's gonna be available in the Puerto Rico Comic Con, so stay tuned for that. I'm not sure exactly when I'm gonna release it, but it should be fun. It was a very fun and refreshing project. It's very different to what I normally write in terms of novels. It does have that daydream feel, but it has a more linear or more logical arc than the daydreams, because the daydreams are like snapshots. Here you have a story. And so yeah, that's the only time I'm gonna talk about this until I have it published. And next week I'm gonna talk a bit more about natural intelligence and how I've gone about researching different things and the whole method to that madness again, and show you the progress. So for now, thanks for watching. If you like, click the like. If you want to see more of this madness, by all means subscribe and tell other people. That always helps indie authors. And for now, peace, love, and mocky rolls.